Your Kirby handle wobbling over time? I'm going to show you a quick and easy fix. So what we'll do is dive straight into it. Hi Kirby fans, welcome back to the channel. Now don't forget, everything you use in my videos today, there are links in the description below for the best place to get your Kirby products. Make sure you check those out at the end of this video. Right, so in today's video we're going to be looking at Kirby handles. So I'm going to be going through a few Kirby handles. I'm going to show you the reason why they wobble over time and how to rectify this problem. So what we'll do is dive straight into it. Right, so what I've got behind me is a barrage of Kirbys. I've gone from the G3 right through to the G7. I've got an Avalir in here, the Legend 2, and even the Sentria handle as well. Now, the issue people have with it over time is these handles start to wobble. We'll just zoom in, we'll have a look at the G3 with the new handle on it, and then we'll have a look at the G3 with the original handle on it. Right, so what we've got is a G3. This is the one I fully refurbished, and it's got a new handle on it. There's a little bit of wobble, but not to the extent I'm going to show you now. So I'll just put that to one side, and I'll pull in the G4. Now this is my G4, original handle from new, and you can see that both ways, side to side, and it wobbles excessively. Now the issue you've got over time is it is plastic, and plastic is going to wear away over time. The G3 I've got here has got the original handle as well, and that wobbles considerably compared to that one, which is minimal. There's got to be a little bit of movement because you don't want it snapping. Now there are ways to replace it. One, you can either buy a new handle like I did and replace it that way. I will put links in the description below of where I got the handle from, so make sure you check that out at the end of this video. But there is another way, and I'll explain why these are wobbling and your old Legend 2s and your Heritages aren't. Right, so here we got the Legend 2. Excuse my throat, I'm still a little bit ill. Here we got the Legend 2, and what you've got is a little notch out here. Now Kirby had it so it slid over it and then it bolted through. So that will never ever move. It never ever moves at all. It's a fantastic design. When they designed the G3, they did away with that, having it slot inside as opposed to on the outside. And you can see, I mean, this is from 1991 and it's perfect. The Heritage 2 I've got from 87 is exactly the same. And the Heritage 84 I've got as well doesn't move. As we move over to the G3, you can see Kirby's design went that way. So now it can move considerably. Yeah, as you're moving it, I've never really noticed it until people brought this issue up, but it does wear over time, which I've just demonstrated by showing you the G3 that I've refurbished. So there is a simple way to fix it, and we'll dive in and I'll quickly show you that as well. But before we do that, I'll quickly show you a Sentria 1. Now the Sentria 1 is probably the worst. It wobbles a lot more, and it only takes a couple of weeks to start noticing that. So from new, when I had my Sentria 1, after a couple of weeks I noticed the handle wobbled compared to my G7, which I never really noticed because just the way the handle was designed. This was made a little more rugged, but internally it was made a lot weaker. Now I'm going to show you 3 ways to correct this. How you do it is entirely up to you, but the best way I'll show you finally at the end, the best way of how to stop this rattling. So it saves you buying a new handle, and it's just a really simple fix. We'll start with the G series first. Now you've got this screw on the side. You can tighten this as much as you like. It's not going to make any difference to the handle wobbling whatsoever. It's going to tighten it up a little bit, but it's still going to wobble. Okay, now if you want to stop that backwards and forwards movement, because all that's going to do is pull this to the side, and if this is too tight you're not going to be able to pull it out to release your cord. So this is meant to be about there, so it's locked in, so you can pull that out on the spring, twist it and turn it. Okay, now then you've got the issue with the handle, and they're going to wobble all day long. So we've got a couple of options, and these are what they are. So you can do that. And now, first up, what you can do is you can get some electrical tape. You can wrap this round like so. Just round once. that will go back in there. That's a little bit stiffer. Okay, and then obviously you're going to have to just re-poke your hole and put your screw back in. That loose enough, it's still loose enough to turn, and you've took a little bit of movement out of that handle. It still wobbles a little bit, not too bad. How long that's going to last, I'm not too sure. As well as that, the issue you're going to have with that is you're going to have to replace it at some point. So when you come to replace it, you're going to take this off, and the issue you're going to have is that tape is going to have worn down, it's going to have rubbed and rubbed and rubbed. Okay, pull that out. As it rubs, all that glue that's on there is going to rub and rub and get really sticky. So you're going to peel this off. And because I've literally just done this, it's not going to be sticky, but it's going to be all sticky and just nasty. And that's what that's going to do. That's going to go sticky and nasty over time. So we'll forget that idea. Okay, the other idea is you can use masking tape. You're going to have the same issue. The masking tape is going to break down. The third one is cardboard. You can put a piece of cardboard around there. Okay, that'll slot on there. This will slot back in there, like so. And it's still a pain to get up. It just makes it really, really, really stiff. Okay, it does go up, and once you've got it back together, you can put your spring back in, tighten it up, and see how long that's going to last. But there is a better option, okay? And I'll show you exactly what that is. So what we've got is one I made earlier, and that's a bit of a Blue Peter joke for all those English people watching. This is one I prepared. Slot that in, and you can see that is barely wobbling at all. All right, so we put that back in, and I will explain what I've done. And you've got no wobble. Look at that, barely any wobble. You've got a little bit of movement, and there's a reason for that. Okay, so what we'll do is take this apart, and I'll show you exactly what I've done. And it's not a new handle. Okay, so as we look at the difference between these, what you've got is wear here. Okay, so it's worn on the side, it wears a little bit on this side, and it wears on there as it rocks back and forth. Now, the main pressure point on this is this part here. So what I've done is I've put some silicone glue, just some blobs, 1, 2, 3, 4 there. And if you like, you can put a very thin slither on there and a thin sliver on there. And I'll demonstrate now how we do that. Once we've got our hot glue gun, and all we're going to do, you can put this on as thick or as thin as you like. Okay, you can go all the way around if you want, it's entirely up to you. Just a blob. And if it's too thick, you can peel it off. Okay, let that cool down. And then you're just going to put a very slight bit on there. So whatever's excess in your gun, and a slight bit on there. And that is it. So just leave that to cool, and then we'll check how she fits. Right, so this is the handle I had before. I put 4 little blobs on, as you could see. And I'd put a thin line there and a thin line there. And as you saw before, that pushed in and didn't wobble at all. Now, over time, it is going to wear. So that's why, and as you can see, it's peeling off now. That's just one. So that's why you're better off going around in a circle like I did with this second one. Because it's not going to catch, it's nice and smooth. You've got that piece there, there and there. And if you need to get it off, you can. Leave it off with a standing off and it'll peel straight off. But while it's in there, it's like a little rubber washer, basically. You're just going to push that in, like so. And that now doesn't move. we can put our clip back in. So I haven't got to worry about poking holes or anything like that. We can still have this nice and loose to allow for our cable. Like so. And that handle has got a little bit of movement, but not as much as it's had before. I'll just tighten that up. And there you go. No wobbly handle. This works exactly the same as a Sentria, which I'll pull up now and just show you the Sentria, and it's not wobbling. I'll show you the Sentria before, and then I'll show you after I've fixed it. So this is a Sentria before, all wobbly. So I'll just undo that. Get that out. Right, so for the Sentria, it's a little bit different because the way that designed. So Sentria is a lot weaker because you've got these flaps here and here, and it's just a pain to do. Now you're not going to be able to get any on the metal because it's not going to stick. You could try putting some on the plastic. So I found the easy solution is just to put, and you obviously keep this upright as you've done it. Because I've laid it down, it's sort of rolled back. But if you put crazy glue just there, so you hot glue, and just keep it back roughly the thickness of that edge, okay? And you're just going to form a lip. So what that's going to do is give it like a rubber seal, so as it bounces back, it won't pull in to this gap here. Now you could put a bit on the front, but because you've got that flange there, your best bet would probably be to just put a bit of a rubber silicone there in the middle, just to stop any bouncing the opposite way. But you'll see now that when we put this back on, okay, it won't tilt back anymore. It will wobble a little bit, but once we tighten that up, you'll see that there's hardly any wobble there. And like I said, this is the worst, probably the worst handle out of the lot for wobble. So you can see now that there is barely any, there's no clunking like we had before. There's a little bit of movement, which is what you normally get when you buy it new, but not to the extent that it was. But you can see that that silicone glue there has just took the whip out of that and just caused like a bit of a buffer. Okay, like I said, if you don't want it to go the other way, so you can see it's still tilting a bit, but not a lot. You can always put some on the back of this in between those two flanges, but I find that bit there works perfect. Now don't forget, everything you use in my videos, there are links in the description below for the best place to get your Kirby products. Make sure you check those out at the end of this video. So as you can see, it's a really simple fix. It saves you replacing or buying and purchasing a new handle. You haven't got to do that. As long as you've got one of those hot glue guns, it's really easy to do. I have showed other alternatives, but like I said, they're not going to last. Whether you put cardboard in there or whether you wrap it with electrical tape or masking tape, that's not going to last. I'm not going to stop that Kirby handle wobbling permanently. With that hot glue gun, if that does tend to wear, you can just peel it off and then put a fresh one in there. I've had mine on for about 7 months now and it's still working fine. So again, those new to the channel, if you find you're getting value out of this content, the contemplate showing support by slapping that subscribe button. It's absolutely free. Ding that bell for notifications so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. Give us a big thumbs up and comment down below. I will reply to the comment, and if you like what you comment, I'll pin it to the video. So what we'll do is cut to any bloopers and I'll catch you in the next one. Your Kirby handling what?